All right, Steelers Nation, you know it's time to get to it, baby. Week 13 officially in the books. We obviously are coming off of the big time victory versus the Cincinnati Bengals. And of course, we going to spin the block on PFF and see what they had to say about the fellas, all right? Because they got to be showing us love this week. I mean, my guys did their thing, right? So, you already know the drill. Hit that like button one time for the culture. And of course, don't forget to subscribe if you are new to the channel. We got a lot of exciting things that are happening, man, and we're going to continue to keep those things rolling. But you guys and your engagement is a big part of that, man. So we definitely appreciate you for all your support for the channel. But let's tap right in, man. Offense scored 44 points. Well, technically not 44 because we know Peyton Wilson accounted for 6 of those points. But either way, 38 points is still a lot of points that they accounted for. So we're going to start with the offense this week, man. See what they had to say about the fellas. And highest rated starter on offense, shout out, the one and only Mason McCormick. Yeah, ladies and gents, Mason McCormick was the highest graded out offensive starter versus the Bengals, man. Had a 79.6 grade as a whole. We like that, man. Whenever we're talking about the interior portion of our offensive line or just offensive linemen in general, having the highest or, higher grades of our starters or offense players as a whole, that is good. That means we are controlling the line of scrimmage. That means that in terms of the running game, we're able to consistently run the football the way that we like to. And we're able to have a quarterback that can drop back and not feel under duress for 4 quarters. And I think that's reflective of what happened versus the Bengals. So I like that right there. Shout out to Mason McCormick. The second highest rated starter for the Steelers on offense was Russ Wilson. Mr. Unlimited. Let that man cook. Trying to tell you, man, Russ looked good out there. Had 78.6 grade. Played in 66 total snaps. We know, he took a couple of them bangs. But shout out to Russell Wilson, man. Dominant performance versus the Bengals, man, and really putting a stamp on his, status in the AFC North as the quarterbacks, when we talk about the hierarchy and things like that. So I like that. Third highest rated starter for the Steelers on offense, Najee Harris. Tell you, my man is saying, yo, you better pay me. You running up a check, and I love it. I love him all here for it, man. 35 snaps for him total. We know he had that little bread pudding situation, held him out for a little bit, but as a whole, a 73.6 was his grade. Like I said, third highest rated starter. We like that a lot from him. And when you look at his production, both on the ground and as a receiver, it reflected that, man. He was a big part of just leading that physical charge. He was also a big part of when Russ started to transition to more of that dump off, throwing the ball right over the line of scrimmage to Najee. And then obviously when he left, it turned into Cordell Patterson, right? But to me, man, Najee was a big part of that. We could feel the flow of his production. So I like the fact that he's rated highly, amongst our starters on offense. Then from there, man, Broderick Jones, shout out to Broderick. He was our fourth highest rated offensive starter with a 71.4 grade. Thought he played well, man. We know he was even the peacemaker out there for GP. Shout out, shout out. Then after that, man, Calvin Austin only played 16 plays. We know he left with the injury, but had the big time touchdown. Also drew a big time penalty as well in terms of a PI. He had a 70.3 grade, and then right behind him was George Pickens with a 70 grade even. I wonder if they do any docking of him for some of the penalties. Not 100% sure. Need to look into that a little bit more, but that is something that I could potentially see being a factor into why his grade isn't even higher, because we know he produced. I mean, he obviously scored a touchdown. He had multiple explosive catches in the game as well. So I'm a little surprised by that one. But if they are factoring in some of the penalties, which it looks like they did, I see them have 2 penalties up here. So I'm sure that had a reason, or I'm sure that had some type of weight on his grade, man. But then after that, man, we had Zach Frazier running up in the middle of this thing, man, with a 68.2 grade on him. And like I said, man, controlling the interior part of the line of scrimmage. I like what we saw from our guys, man, from run blocking and pass blocking. So, like I said, man, could have been a little higher, but I'm not tripping on that at all. All right, Pat Fryer, Booth, out here with the 66.3 grade. Let's get it. I like it amongst the starters. Dan Moore, our second lowest rated offensive lineman, with a 62.4 grade. And I do like this, even though he is lower on the ratings list compared to some of the other guys. I like the fact that as a whole, the grades are still on the upper end of it. It's not like we're talking 50s, 40s, or anything less than that, like we've talked about at times in the past. If your 62 is one of your, lower end performances, I'm like, yo, we could deal with that. That we're still varsity. All right, I need you. I want to get even higher, but that's still varsity. And we know it's PFF, so we gotta, we feel about them at times. All right. But then from there, man, Isaac Seumalo was our second lowest rated starter on offense, man, with a 54.7 grade. Definitely a little bit surprised by that. Because like I said, man, I don't feel like offensive line wise we struggled. I don't feel like Russ was under a ton of duress. If this was the Browns game, yes. Browns game Thursday night, Russ took some shots. Russ got sacked a lot. That wasn't the case this week, man. So a little bit surprised by that. But our last or lowest rated starter on offense was Mike Williams. Yeah, because Mike did start, man, played in 17 total snaps. We want more. At least there were pass plays predominantly, though. He was out there for 13 pass plays, only 4 run plays where he had to block. So we can see they're at least trying to get him more involved in the pass game. Now he's got to get him some targets now, all right? But we are at least getting a positive part of the story, because I know a lot of us have been looking forward to seeing more of him since trading for him. And we know he's capable. We saw the game-winning touchdown against the Commanders. But as a whole, it is good to see that, all right, if he is only going to play 17 snaps, let the lion's share of them be pass plays, so at least he gets an opportunity, right? So I do like that, but obviously we'll see how he continues to progress with his overall role in terms of targets in this offense, man. But outside of the starters on offense, man, highest overall graded player on offense was Cordell Patterson. Only played 10 plays, so we do have some context with that, but he did have a 91.9 grade. So super impressed with what he was doing. Obviously, we saw the spark that he provided when Najee went out, and we rode him, middle of the first through the majority of the second quarter, to the point where it was like, yo, when are we going to put Jaylen Warren back in? Is he going to play anymore? But that was a testament to how well Cordell Patterson was playing. So shout out to him for that. Like I said, man, Mason McCormick was our second highest rated on offense. Then it was Russ. Then it was Najee. Then from there, Ben Skoranek was our actual 5th highest rated overall offensive player with a 72.7 grade. And to give you a breakdown of his stats, or how many snaps he played, 23 total snaps, right? 11 were pass plays. 12 of them he was out there run blocking. So you can just see a little bit of the division of labor between what they were trying to do with Mike Williams, get him out there for 17 plays, but 13 of them being pass plays. And then you see with Ben Skoranek having 23 snaps, but 12 of those being for run blocking purposes. And we know what Ben has already said, man, he wants to be one of the best run blocking wide receivers in the league. And this is what he takes pride in, and it shows. And we could all see him on some of these long runs in the game for Cincinnati, where Ben was out there doing his thing, blocking on the perimeter. So shout out to him for that. Connor Hayward, man, he was the 7th overall highest rated offensive player. Only played 5 snaps, though, so not a ton of usage, but he did well in the block, and they gave him a 71 for his grade. Darnell Washington, shout out to Darnell, 33 total snaps for the homie, had a 68.3 grade, all right? Let me see some more notables. Justin Fields, the closer. Call it in the closer, baby. Call it in the closer. But 2 snaps for Justin Fields, man. He had a 63.5 grade. And hey, man, he slid past the first down this time. So you could give him 100 as far as I'm concerned. No negative. It was all good, and the game was won. So shout out to Justin Fields for that. Let's see. Van Jefferson, man, he had a lot of usage. 42 snaps this game. For him, 61.3 grade. We know he had a big catch in the game as well. And Jaylen Warren, here we go. 25 total snaps. 58 was his grade. Now that's a little low to me when I think of what he was able to do as a receiver of the football, man. He had a couple of explosive plays as well. A little bit surprised by that one. Definitely a little bit surprised by that one. But okay. Shout out to my offensive guys, though. And Michael Pruitt, 25 total snaps, had a 62.4 grade for him. All right. So far, so good in terms of how they treated our offense. We don't have not too many crazy grievances with the group from my perspective. All right. But y'all know the drill. Hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Now let's take it to the defense, who did score a touchdown this week, by the way. And we're only responsible for 31 of those points. It's pick 6. No harm, no foul. There was pick 6. Just gotta do my due diligence. So let me do my due diligence. All right. But from there, man, highest rated player on defense. Nick Herbig. Shout out to Nick Herbig, man. 52 total snaps at a grade of 91.6. Love to see it. Love to see that right there, man. Cameron Hayward was the second highest rated with 42 total snaps, had a 79.2 grade, and you know Killer Cam was balling out in the interior part of that D-line. Multiple, we had the pass deflection. He had the one pass deflection, complete knockdown. Had the other one where it tipped and Dante Jackson got the pick. We had the killer TFL down by the goal line. He killed my man again on a run play where I think that was like in the third quarter. He chased him down in the alley. Bing, hit him. Had the sack as well. Yeah, Killer Cam was on one, man. Shout out to the homie. Shout out. Then after that, Keanu Bitten. Big time performance from him. And it was cool to see on Hard Knocks where he was one of the guys giving the night before the game, final address to his teammates, man. So it was good to see him be able to back that up with a nice, strong performance, man. And he had a 78.9 grade as well. Larry Ogunjobi, next highest rated defender that started. 33 total snaps, 68.6 was his grade. And just for context, right? Remember what I was talking about when I said Dan Moore was the second lowest rated offensive player, and his grade was like 69 point something, right? So just for context, man, we're looking on defense, and we're saying Larry Ogunjobi's seventh highest rated overall defender, but fourth highest rated defender that started was a 68.6. It just lets you know that, man, offensive line wise, those guys have elevated their play. It's good in terms of the context. It is good information in the sense of that. So we can at least, track it numerically, the progress, and see, if it coincides with what we are visually seeing and also emotionally, like what we feel when we're watching these games, man. But shout out to Larry Ogunjobi, the Walter Payton Man of the Year for the Pittsburgh Steelers this season. Salute to you. Salute to you, baby. Next up on the list, TJ Watt, 47 total snaps. Interesting. Nick Herbig played more snaps than TJ this past game. Okay. All right. I like that. 67.6 was his overall grade. Actually, nah, man, I need TJ to give me more snaps, man. All right. But no, I like what you're doing, though, man. I like the ability to come off that field, man, and trust your guys. There's nothing wrong with trusting your guys, especially when they playing like how Herbig's been playing right now, man. Then from there, man, Dante Jackson was the next highest rated starter on defense with a 56.3 grade. Minkah Fitzpatrick, 56 was his grade. Deshaun Elliott, shout out to Deshaun Elliott. He was followed up with a 52.3 grade from the starters. Then after that, our LBs, they had them rated the lowest or pretty low this week, man. Landon Roberts, 21 snaps total, had him at a 37 for his grade. Patrick Queen, 62 total snaps, had him at a 33 for his grade. And I think with both of the linebackers, man, going back and watching the tape versus watching it in real life or real speed and how I felt like it told two different stories. I know watching the game, it felt as if, man, why is Patrick Queen or Landon Roberts on some of these wide receivers chasing them? Or, excuse me, why is Patrick Queen on some of these wide receivers chasing them? Why is, chunk runs happening and Landon Roberts is on the field? I will say this to both of those things, man. I think both of those players actually did what they were called to do from a schematic standpoint. I just don't necessarily think that we as the viewers initially understood what was going on. You look at the coverages, man, after I went back and watched it, it's a lot of zone concepts, man, when you're seeing Patrick Queen chasing after Jamar Chase because he's carrying him to the next zone, or he's already seeing that, hey, man, this is where he's trying to go to, and now he's just making a play and trying to get involved with that. But when you're watching it, it looks like, yo, he's getting beat one-on-one, or why is he chasing this guy? Literally, the only one-on-one that I saw him lose on was the Gesicki pass. It was high red zone. I think it was probably like a 20-yard gain, if that, and he made the tackle on the play. Had him isolated on the outside, man, one-on-one. But other than that, I didn't think that it was this like performance where it was god awful by him or, to be rated that low. The other thing that I would say is this too, man, in terms of some of the chunk runs that happen, man. And I can see them docking Landon Roberts by reputation for that in PQ because he was out there as well. I can see where there's a little bit of a debate, but I don't all the way put it on those individuals, man. I think it's a mix of just what the scheme was asking and those surrounding players in terms of D linemen, man. D linemen, edge rushers, outside linebackers, man, just in some of the secondary run fits, how, what they might be talking about internally in the locker room or within those meeting rooms It might be the combo of you're going to play it this way because I want this guy to make the tackle, or it's on this guy to make the tackle. But as the viewers who aren't privy to that information, we're just kind of watching. And it's like, well, I see you around it and I see you and you around it. Traditionally, it should be you guys, but I can see where y'all might be trying to do it with this guy. We don't have that information. So that's my only grievance when I see a Landon Roberts and Patrick Queen's grade so low. And I know a lot of, just via social media, how people were communicating their feelings about those two guys during real time with the game. I just don't think it was all the way reflective of what they were actually doing in their overall production of the game. All right. But enough about those guys, man. The lowest rated starter on defense, though, was JPJ. Shout out to Joey Porter Jr. Had a grade of 32.4. And obviously, we know he was highly penalized, man. Or NFL standards, yeah, he was highly penalized, man. We talked about, do you live with it? Are you okay with it? In certain instances, we said, yeah. Some of these, man, you live with it. It's the cost of doing business. Coach Tomlin kind of reflected that sentiment as well. But yeah, as a whole, they had him down for 6 total penalties, with 2 of them being accepted. So yeah, that is a lot of penalties for a single game, man. A lot of penalties, man. So I can understand why they wanted to necessarily not reward him with high remarks and things like that. But just as a whole, the overall, highest rated guys on defense. Like I said, Nick Herbig was the highest rated defender as a whole, highest rated player in the game as well, with his 91 overall. Him and Cordell Patterson tied for the number 1 overall highest graded player with 91.9. We said with Nick Herbig, he played a lot more snaps than Cordell Patterson, though, right? Peyton Wilson was the second highest rated defender. He did not start, but he did play more snaps than a Landon Roberts. All right. So a little bit of that storyline that we're following as well, man. Peyton Wilson, 35 total snaps, had a 81.5 grade. And we obviously know he had the fumble recovery touchdown, exploded in the game, man. Big time production from him whenever you're talking about scoring points, getting turnovers, man. So shout out to him. But that was also created by who? Nick Herbig, who I thought was, having a heck of a day, man, with his pass rush and the pressure he was providing against Joe Burrow, and specifically beating Orlando Brown, who we know is a really good player, Super Bowl champion as well. After that, though, at number 3 and number 4, Cam Hayward was the 3rd highest rated overall defender. Keanu Benton, 4th highest rated overall defender. Then from there, Isaiah Loudermilk. The D-line did their thing, man. D-line has, if I'm not going to include my outside linebackers in terms of Herbig and TJ, just in true D lineman, hand in the dirt guys. Cam Hayward, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Man, we got 5 of the top 10 players on defense being D linemen. 5 of the top 7 are D linemen in terms of their overall grades. I like that because it lets me know, once again, we are winning in the trenches. We're controlling the line of scrimmage. Now, I wish we could have done a little bit more consistently to minimize some of those explosive runs, and we did a better job of that in the second half. But as a whole, man, D-line did their thing, man. Isaiah Loudermilk, 5th overall highest rated player on defense, 74.5 was his grade, but only 14 snaps, so not a ton of sample size. Same with Dean Lowry, who was 6 overall, played 6 plays, 72.4, in and out, but efficient. Larry Ogunjobi, as I said, man, was the 7th overall highest rated defender on defense with 33 total snaps. Then after that, though, Beanie Bishop, man, we know we just did the interview with him. Shout out to Beanie, man, spent time with us this week on the show. If you haven't checked that interview out, man, make sure you check it out. Absolute vibe, man. Absolute vibe. But small production or small participation from him versus the Bengals, only 6 snaps. We obviously know some of the storyline with him, Cam Sutton, and what Coach Thomas kind of trying to do with those guys. But he had a 68.1 grade, so still efficient even with the smaller amount of production. Preston Smith, nice amount of production or nice amount of snap usage, 25 total snaps, 65.1. But interesting enough, 20 of his snaps were pass rush snaps as well, man. All right. So a little bit more intentional of when they're getting him on the field. 20 of his 25 snaps, just pass rushing. All right. So I do like that for him. Cam Sutton, 45 total plays, 63.2 was his grade. And we know this is the week where they kind of shifted him and Benny Bishop, right? They made him that starting, or not starting, but they made him predominantly the slot corner, and Benny Bishop became the dime corner. So that was why Cam Sutton had the uptick in production in overall snaps, in overall participation, and why Beanie Bishop was obviously down some. Let's see some other notables. Man, I might hit them all. Shout out. Let me see. Oh, Devontae Casey. Casey had 15 total snaps, man. We obviously utilized him at times in our 3 safeties or just some of the super obvious passing scenarios. He had a 29.2 grade, so not the highest from his perspective, but as a whole, man, I don't hate these grades. I don't hate the grades, man. I think PFF is showing a little bit of love, not a lot of love, but enough of love. All right. So shout out to PFF for that, man. But like I said, those are the week 13 grade recaps from PFF for the Bengals victory, man. Shout out to us getting that job done on the road. It'll be interesting to see how we respond next week, man. We know we got Cleveland round 2. But either way, you guys let me know your thoughts on these grades, man, and what you're expecting these grades to look like next week. Because like I said, they used to hate on us all the way. I feel like they're giving us respect all of a sudden. But now this year they're giving us respect. So let's see if it continues. But let me know in the comment section, man, how you think they're going to grade us out and who will be the highest graded player on offense and on defense following this Browns week, all right? But either way, I appreciate you for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And until next time, baby, peace.